look, don't fear AI search. Learn how to buy the real estate inside of it. Adapt early, like know what's going on, adapt early, and also realize it's a little fluid and nobody has all the answers. So if people tell you, I can get you ranked number one, I can do this. Sure, maybe they can in the short term, but this isn't a short-term game. Hey there, welcome to the Dr. Marketing Tips Show. I am Jennifer.
I'm Corey.
And today we're going to be talking about how Google has begun testing healthcare ads in AI mode. And that's because the search landscape has totally shifted.
Again.
Every day.
I feel like, there's lots of shifts going on right now. A lot with search in particular, because AI, it is more than just a buzzword. It is evolving and being put into more places. So it's becoming more mainstream. And one of the things that's happening is the way that Google ads used to display are totally different in AI mode or in Gemini, and therefore also in Claude and ChatGPT and all of these other places as they try and monetize the searches. So if you remember Google ads, typically on a results page, you'll have your ad and then you'll see some text in blue, and then that's the ad. It's up top. It has a little thing that says ad next to it. But Google actually has just confirmed they're doing a live test now of healthcare related ads directly inside of AI mode and AI overviews.
Well, and this matters right now because healthcare is historically one of Google's most regulated ad categories, which means that this is a sign that AI-driven search is now the present. And I know we're talking about Google, but where Google goes, the others go. And so, Meta is also pretty regulated regarding healthcare ads. And so we can have another episode just on the changes that Meta is doing, but it's all related because again, it's not SEO anymore. It's SEO as in search everywhere online, search everywhere optimization. It's just a lot and it's all coming from different places.
Yeah. And so there used to be pretty strict limits, and it's interesting because this is just a test that they're rolling out. There are obviously still going to be limits for healthcare ads. We say this all the time in our agency. We are building the plane as it's taking off sometimes because that's just the way you have to do it. I think that's exactly what's happening here because so in these AI overviews and in Gemini, when you give an answer, so I'm a potential patient, I'm going to go and I'm going to say, who is the best vascular doctor near me? And it's going to give me a list. I'm therefore not going to click on any of those websites. I'm not really going to look at ads because it gives me the list up top. So I'm just going to click on the one on the top and then that's where I'm going. And so the problem there is Google as an answer engine is built on all of this really good content, and sort of the contract between the people creating the content and Google is, well, if I make good content, then people are going to come to my website. But with AI, the contract has changed because now they're not going to come to my website, but Google is still going to use my good content to show this little snippet. And then I'm kind of left hanging out to dry. And so what they're trying to do is balance that with, because they still need people to make the content, right? So there still has to be some benefit to doing so. And it's the exact same thing with advertisers. A bulk of their revenue comes from advertising. But if I just look at an AI snippet, I don't need to click on an ad, or I may not even see an ad. So what they're doing is they're rolling out this test to say, maybe we should put an ad in the AI overview. Maybe we put it in the top. Maybe we put it in the bottom. Maybe we treat it as an answer and it's a sentence. And so I think we're going to see this sort of evolve very quickly as they are testing this to see what actually works and then what provides value to the advertisers. Because if there's no value to the advertisers, they're not going to pay for it. And then Google's going to have a really big problem.
Well, and you already kind of touched on it, but this whole AI mode thing, what does it actually mean and why are they testing it with healthcare? So for the layman out there, AI mode and AI overviews, and you're seeing these now, when you're searching, you're seeing this, but they're meant to be conversational AI generated answers that are going to appear at the very top of search. This is what Corey's saying is doesn't mean they're going to click to your site anymore. And so if you haven't done the foundational work so that you're becoming the answer, then there's a very high likelihood you're not going to be showing up in the search. So it kind of goes back to the foundation. You want to be the answer. So therefore you need to, just like in traditional search, you need to know what the question is. Then you need to provide the answer. And then you need to use the EAT algorithm to build the authority so that you're the one showing up at the top.
Yeah. And in addition to that, I would say that even if you do all the right stuff, you're probably still going to see less traffic because, again, AI overviews are becoming more commonplace. Even if you show up in the answers, you may not actually get those clicks. So, for example, the search is shifting from I'm going to type in orthopedic doctor near me to I'm going to use my phone and I'm going to say, I have a really sharp pain in my knee when I'm going downstairs and it's cold outside. Who should I see in Austin, Texas? And so that's a very, what's called a long tail keyword, and it's very niche. And if you have that answer, sorry, you're going to show up really well. But even if you show up, that's only half the battle, because if you show up in an AI overview, people might not need to click. And so that's sort of what is leading to all of this testing and this quick rollout of healthcare in AI.
Well, and on top of it, Google is inserting the sponsored ads right into the AI conversation. So it's part of the conversational flow so that they can continue the monetization, which is kind of what you spoke on just a minute ago. But, for certain agencies, I would say it's always been a focus to be at the top of search. And that's still the focus, but, the results are different. Like what we measure might be a little bit different now. And that's because Google needs to monetize it. They're making sure that you're showing up at the snippets or you're not. They have to figure out a way to monetize it. And as a result, all the things you've worked on and the things you've been measuring for years, they may not matter as much anymore.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because AI at the moment is not super regulated, just in general. But it all comes back to how are they going to make money on this, or how are they going to continue to make money on this and then provide value for the people that are paying for those things, right? So like you said, yeah, Google is doing this sponsored ads right in the conversational flow, which basically means like you could ask a question and then it's going to say, hey, this is an ad, but Dr. Smith is a very highly rated orthopedic surgeon in Austin, and then go on to the answer from there. So you'll have like a call out for the ad, and it'll be interesting to see how that starts to play, because you could be looking for GLP-1s and wellness, and you get an ad about, I don't know, like a smoothie powder or something. So it's not even exactly related to what you're looking for. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they start to layer in those potential interests and overviews. But that's what they're testing right now. So there's probably going to be some weird stuff that comes up. I don't know if you guys remember, but when AI started to get popular on Google search, there was a response. I think it actually was from Google's AI that was talking about making pizza with glue instead of cheese. So yeah, anyway, just to say, like, there's going to be weird stuff while this is kind of going on, and they're figuring this out because they're building the plane as it's taken off.
Yeah, absolutely. Why did they start with healthcare first?
I think they started with healthcare because it's restricted. So it's English language stuff only. And it's easier to start there because it's narrow compared to some of the other industries. So I think it's a good spot for them. Plus, there's a lot of money in healthcare, specifically around advertising. So they know that they've got a good pool to kind of use here. What's interesting is you cannot, what's that?
Well, it's not like it's rolling out to everyone. It's rolling out within healthcare, and it's probably a segment within. So like you said, it's advertisers in the US, it's English driven, inside of AI mode, you name it. But it's not like everybody. So it may be impacting your practice, it may not yet. Who knows?
Right. And it's interesting because you can't say, "Ooh, I want to try this." At least not yet. Google is actually pulling ads from specific automated campaign types. So Performance Max, or PMax it's called sometimes, some shopping campaigns, some broad match campaigns, and they're testing based off of those things. So it's not something where you can really say, I want this or no, I don't, at least at the moment. I would imagine though that when it does roll out, you're probably going to be able to control that in the Google Ads dashboard. And you can say, I want these campaigns to appear here or not. Yeah, but for now, you don't really have any say in it.
Yeah, and if your marketing agency or your team is using these type of automated campaigns, your ads might be already in this AI mode. So it might be a good thing to ask people.
Yeah, for sure. And as of right now, anyway, there's constraints on what these ads can look like during this test phase. And again, I think that that's something to pay attention to, because what they look like now could be different next Wednesday. It's going to happen quick as they start to test different things.
Yeah, well, they're saying like they're strictly limited at this moment to ads not using pinned assets, like which are forcing headlines, and then not using text disclaimers. So, and this is according to the person at Google that we've been corresponding with.
Right. So so the structural impact, what that means essentially is it's going to restrict pharmaceutical companies, as an example, that require legal disclaimers. Those aren't going to show up. But if you're a practice or you're a hospital group, if you're doing PMAX, those may be eligible.
Yeah. And I really think like there's an advantage here for an independent medical practice, like a vein clinic or an orthopedic group or something like that, because your ads aren't really requiring heavy legal disclaimers, which allows you to fit into the algorithms kind of early. So certainly like have that conversation with whoever's running your ads, understand the process, make sure that they're on top of it. And it might give you some additional questions that you can be asking them.
Yeah, you kind of fit by default because you're probably running an ad that is going to work anyway. That's a great point.
Let's talk about like what do practices need to do to be prepared for this?
It's 3 steps. It's one, you want to audit your campaign types. So basically, if you have an agency that's doing this for you, or you have somebody in house, just say, hey, are we leveraging these PMAX campaigns or these broad match? Like, what are we doing exactly? Maybe it's time to just kind of take a look at those things anyway. I had a client the other day, we were doing some reporting on them, and numbers all look great, and they were saying, that we're seeing more phone call volume and more click-throughs and everything, but the patient volume is kind of flat. And so that led to, well, okay, let's go back to square one. And what are we actually counting as a conversion? Is it the right thing? So, I think this is maybe a good time to just kind of look at all of those things, and specifically campaign types. And also note that exact match keyword campaigns are going to be restricted as of right now for this new piece of real estate. I would imagine eventually those things are going to open up. So anyway, step 1 would be audit your campaign types. Step 2 is simplify the ad creative, because you can't use pinned assets like Jen said. So you may want to review your ad copy, ensure that these headlines are concise and they kind of stand alone naturally, because that's going to make it more likely to get chosen as part of this test. And then I would imagine what's happening is they are going to be very tight in terms of what they're allowing and what they're not allowing to start. And then as it rolls out to more people, that will loosen up, and then you're able to do a little bit more. But for now, it's very tight. So it's worth looking at those headlines specifically for the ad copy site. And then, again, track shifts in traffic, because you'll want to take a note on your CPC, or your cost per click, and overall impression shares, because those things are probably going to be the first things to move as we roll this out. So your cost per click, I don't know if it's going to go up or down, but it will shift depending on how these are doing. That's one of the things that Google is testing, right? So to see if these are actually going to work this way. And then if people click on them, what's that CPC out of an AI ad versus a regular ad? I would think that AI overviews are probably going to have a higher patient conversion, because people are kind of like having the conversation. But that higher conversion may also come at a higher cost, because it's either more ads to get to them, or they're going to be further down the funnel, but it might just cost more to reach them. So that's something to pay attention to as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always a sore subject to talk about actual patient conversion, because we're so limited on what we can actually track now and what we can't track because of privacy regulations. And then does it tie into your EHR? So I think, again, I think it's foundational. I think the biggest takeaway for this entire thing in this series that we've been doing, because we've been talking about different updates for the last couple episodes here, is look, don't fear AI search. Learn how to buy the real estate inside of it. Adapt early, know what's going on, adapt early, and also realize it's a little fluid and nobody has all the answers. So if people tell you, I can get you ranked number 1, I can do this. Sure, maybe they can in the short term, but this isn't a short-term game. This is a long-term strategy that ties into your operational strategy and everything else, because the way patients are finding our practices, it is different and it's evolving, and it's now time for us to evolve with it.
Yeah. And usually those people that promise those things, depending on how they do it, they wind up only making it to the next Google Core update. And then those pages tend to fall off the face of the earth. So keep that in mind too.
So if you like what you're doing and you want to, have us take a look at your digital footprint, give you an audit, find out if you're optimized for PMAX and AI mode, head over to our website at insightmg.com. We'd be happy to help.
Absolutely. So thanks for listening, and don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you guys next time on the Dr. Marketing Tip Show.
See you next time. Thanks a bunch.
Bye, y'all.
More like this, hit like and subscribe so you'll always be alerted to new episodes when they come out. And if you want information about us, visit us over at insightmg.com. That's insightmg.com. We'll see you on the next episode.